What's up, guys? This is Mr. Eldridge, and in today's lesson, we will begin our study of Unit 5 of the APUSH History Key Concepts. Unit 5 is from 1844 to 1877. And the easy way to remember this is the lead up to the Civil War, the antebellum period, if you will, the Civil War itself, and then Reconstruction. So today we begin our lesson in looking at the continued sectionalism of the mid-19th century. And we begin talking about the Compromise of 1850. Peace in 1850 depended on having an equal amount of slave and free states for voting in Congress. After the Mexican-American War, the United States will acquire a lot of new land in what we call today the American Southwest, based upon the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. So after the war was over with, and after you have the treaty, you're going to have a compromise, if you will. It is called the Compromise of 1850. The Compromise of 1850 settled some issues, most notably the reinforcement of the Fugitive Slave Act, but sentiments would soon change in 1854 with the Kansas-Nebraska Act. The Kansas-Nebraska Act repealed the Compromise of 1820, the agreement to keep slave states south of the 3630 line, and allowed the two states to determine their slave or free status by popular vote, i.e. the idea of popular sovereignty. As a result, thousands of pro- and anti-slavery settlers flooded in to vote. Slavery and anti-slavery advocates established competing capitals at Lecompton and Topeka, including state constitutions that supported their own views. In order to attempt to win the vote, inhabitants started fighting, intending to kill or scare off pro- or anti-slavery advocates, hence the name Bleeding Kansas. After Bleeding Kansas, the North increasingly felt the Southern states were conspiring to expand the institution of slavery. The South, on the other hand, increasingly feared a Northern abolitionist plot to eradicate all slavery rather than limit its spread. As such, tensions grew between the two sides, and the Democratic Party largely consolidated into the pro-slavery party. In contrast, the Whig Party could not uniformly oppose or support slavery, as Southern Whigs supported slavery and Northern Whigs opposed it. Debates over the institution of slavery raged on in the 1850s and 1860s. Many Northern pastors argued against the immoral practice of slavery. Southern pastors tended to support the institution as both biblically justified and a social good to protect and quote-unquote civilize Black Americans. Pro-slavery arguments came from figures such as George Fitzhugh, asserted that industrial wage earners were simply wage slaves who did not have a master to provide for their individual needs. Lastly, many Southerners cited the 10th Amendment, which stated that all powers not expressly granted to the federal government were given to the states, and the idea of the states' rights argument. Since the Constitution made no mention of slavery, they argued the power to regulate slavery was a de facto right given to the individual states. So finally, you really have a dissolution of the Whig Party leading up to the election of 1854. Having essentially split their party between North and South, the Whigs were not able to field a legitimate opposing candidate to the United Democratic Party. Instead, many Southern Whigs became Democrats and many Northern Whigs split amongst minority parties. As a result, Southern Democrats and the few Northern Democrats dominated presidential and congressional elections in the 1850s. Democratic domination would continue until 1860 with the emergence of the new Republican Party. In the 1850s, several new parties emerged. However, none would challenge the Democratic Party until later, uniting under a single party. One such group were the Know Nothings, given its name due to the tendency of members to say they knew nothing of the party when they were asked. The Know Nothings mostly opposed Catholic and Chinese immigrants as an unwanted threat and competition for Protestant wage earners, even participating in the infamous Bible riot clashes between Protestants and Catholics in Philadelphia in the 1840s. Another party was known as the Free Soil Party. Members of this party opposed the expansion of slavery into these new territories, particularly the new Western territories. Additionally, the anti-slavery Republican Party in 1854, the party that would later unite Northern Whigs, Know Nothings, and Free Soilers to oppose the Democratic bloc in the South. Thank you so much for paying attention to this video. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and do so. Thank you so much, and have a great day.